Journalist Mitch Albom wrote, "When we build on the shoulders of those who came before us. And when we fall apart, those who came before us help put us back together." Here in downtown Walla Walla, I am by what has been created over the centuries. The resoluteness of many decades of residence is evident. Who were these people? What did they face? How did they succeed? And what can we learn from them? Today, we will meet neighbors who have explored these questions and have stories to tell. Next on Hometown. This area has been home to Native American tribes, including the Cayuse, Umatilla, and Walla Walla tribes for centuries. In the early 19th century, explorers and fur trappers like Lewis and Clark began to venture into this area, and soon Walla Walla became a supply and transportation center on the Oregon Trail. By the late 1800s, it was a prosperous town with a diverse economy. When the railroad arrived, the city boomed. Today, Walla Walla is a charming city that honors its past while embracing modern influences. But my question is, who were these people? And what were their contributions to life as we know it today? Today we start at the cemetery to find out whose shoulders we stand on. Fundamental ingredients in the incredible story of us.
And coming up on Hometown, you're going to get a tour of the Walla Walla Mountain View Cemetery, and you're going to learn more about the history of our great town. So stay tuned. You'll want to watch Joanna on Hometown. Hi, I'm Julie, and many towns have a very quiet place, and we're at one of them here in Walla Walla, and we are at the Walla Walla Mountain View Cemetery with Joanna Lanning. Hi, Joanna.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. So Joanna, tell us what you do here at this cemetery here in Walla Walla.
I work on the grounds, and the grounds here entails obviously grounds work, taking care of this facility, and we do burials, and I back up in the office, and I'm the unofficial historian and lead tours.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for what you do here. It's a place of sadness for many people. It's also a place of resting for many people who have gone through many things in life. And it's also a beautiful place for people to be resting here. How many acres are here?
There's approximately 80 acres with 60 currently in use.
Wow. And lots of trees.
Lots of trees, lots of old trees. We have lots of wildlife, bird life. We encourage people to come in here and walk and cycle, recreate. So it's a safe place for the community as well. We are in the Parks Department, so we're considered a park.
Yeah, well, it's beautiful, and thank you to all of you and your staff for all that you do. How many years have you worked here, Joanna?
I've worked at this cemetery 9 years. I've worked with the department almost 29.
Well, thank you for all you do. So as we're here, there are about how many gravestones and people laid to rest here?
There's over 40,000 currently been laid to rest.
And many names that we recognize, and that's partly where the tours came from, right? People were interested and you started that?
Yes, we have a lot of history here dating back to the mid-1800s, and we decided that we did some like impromptu tours, and we just expanded on that, and now we're bringing in live character portrayals.
Oh, interesting.
We've put up 61 point of interest signs so people can go around and learn about people that are buried here, learn about the symbols, because there's a lot of artwork here as well with the the markers.
Yeah, tell me about the markers. Where are some of them from?
Some of them are from Italy, and they were brought over, and there's some monuments that are so massive that you just wonder, how in the world did they get them here? How did they put them up? Probably with, you know, horses, mules, block and tackle, but it's just fascinating if you go around and look at the symbols, and we have information where you can read about them and what they mean.
I remember coming here in college in the fall when it's so beautiful with all the trees, with the leaves and everything, and seeing all the monuments that you're speaking about. But I didn't know they came from Italy.
Yeah, not all of them, but some of them
Yeah.
do. And you can kind of tell when you're looking at them by the intricacies of the artwork.
Yeah.
And if you look in detail, you can see that some of them were hand carved.
Yeah, but to think about the logistics, you're right, of
Right.
actually getting all of that up there. And speaking of such, we are here at the Baker Memorial. So Joanna, tell us a little bit about this.
So this is called Baker's Circle, and it's for the descendants of Dorsey S. Baker. He lived 1823 to 1888, and he is an early Walla Walla doctor and one of the leading businessmen in Walla Walla in the late 1800s.
And we know that name now today as
Baker Boyer Bank, that was established in 1869, and it's now the oldest bank in the state.
Isn't that amazing? So to think about that, so as we're driving around Walla Walla, we're used to Blaylock Drive, or we're used to Baker Boyer Bank and all of these names, and to think about the people who came and their persistence and how this was their home too.
Yes, Sturm, Bernie School, the Bernie descendants are buried behind me. So it's amazing how many pioneers of Walla Walla are actually interred here.
Yes, and you folks with the Parks and Recreation Department, you have points of interest. So the Whitmans, there's a Whitman name here, Stubblefield, I see Babcock, I know that name, Boyer, going on down the list. So it's not like we're driving down, you know, a street that isn't, there is a history to that street, and there's a history to that name. So back to the Baker family, what is the oldest gravestone that you have here?
The oldest one is Eva Baker. It's over to my left, and she was 1854, was an infant.
As an infant.
Yeah, so it's a sad story,
Yeah.
but that story is replayed continually over the cemetery with different things that happen with children. That part is very sad.
It's very sad.
But it is part of our history, and we can remember them.
I remember as a child going with my mom, and she helped me have a love for history, and I remember looking at the birth date and the death date and going, wow, Mom, this was a child. And as a child, that really is impactful. And again, we don't know the reason for this child, do we? We don't know the history on her.
Some of them we do. Some of it's recorded in their death certificates. Our volunteer, Susan Pickett, that's updating all our records. She goes into death certificates, and sometimes she'll find more detail. If it was, because it's written in there what the cause of death was. But for everybody, we don't know, though.
So that's the oldest gravestone. What is the oldest birth date here at the cemetery?
The oldest birth date's Elizabeth Thompson, and she's over to my right, west, and she has a beautiful marker with a weeping willow on it. So that's 1792.
1792.
Yeah.
So that was 1792. That was after 1776.
Yeah.
But for the West, that's very early for us. And with Washington State becoming a state in 1889, so that was even much earlier than that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So what's it like for you to be here and to learn about the history? You said that history is, you're becoming a historian after working here. What's it like for you?
I just find it fascinating because you can keep learning, but when I started at this position, I didn't really have any interest in history, never did in high school or college. But now it's become a bit of a passion, especially because I can correlate all this to people that are here, that were here, and you can see like a building that they were in, or
Named
like
after.
Madam Josephine Wolfe, we know where one of her brothel houses was on Alder. So it's pretty fascinating. Yeah.
Well, and just the level of curiosity of going, oh, I recognize that name.
Yeah.
So how did the tours actually start? How did you folks go down that way?
Well, I was asked, we had a person that worked in the office, and our past supervisor would lead a tour for Walla Walla, is then college, death and dying class. And the person that was going to conduct it one year she didn't really want to do it, and she was sick that day, so I did it, and I started getting interested, and I told my supervisor, I said, why can't we expand on this and offer tours to the community? And so it's just gradually snowballed, and our whole staff is involved. Everybody, they either dress up or they help in some manner, but everybody's bought into it. Even we have 3 full-time people. Becky Donnelly's in the office part-time, and then we have seasonal staff, and just about every single person participates in some manner. So that makes me so happy, because it's become a labor of love. So.
Well, absolutely, and I love the connection as we think about the people who have come before. And even for me, I have a connection with the Bakers, because my great-grandpa, he owned the building that's now misbehaving. He owned that in the 20s and 30s when it was a plumbing supply store, and he banked at Baker Boyer Bank.
Oh.
So I didn't grow up in Walla Walla, but I grew up hearing
connection.
all about the Baker Boyer Bank, and in fact I found an old deposit envelope that had been my great-grandpa's, so I took it back to the bank and said, hey, you can put this in your archive.
Oh, that's
yeah,
cool.
isn't that neat, these connections? So back to the connections, there are several different sections here in the cemetery. Could you talk a little bit about that?
So we have the old section is in front of us, the Mountain View City section, and then directly east is Masonic section, and then south of that's Oddfellows, and then farther south is Catholics. And then we do have a small Jewish section and Chinese southwest, and then that's pretty much probably the main divisional areas, other than we have veteran areas, Civil War, Spanish American, World War I. And then veterans are sprinkled, of course, throughout the cemetery, because many are interred with their families and not in a military section.
Sure, Civil War too.
Yes.
Wow, okay. But talk with me about the Chinese section.
So the Chinese section is in a corner, and what I've been told is they were actually interred somewhere else in the cemetery, and for some reason they all got moved to this corner, southwest corner. Currently, we are in the process of we have old plat books that we use to this day when we go out to find. We double, triple check everything. So if we're going to do a burial, we'll take the book out. We'll have our phones. We just make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. Well, they're not in the plat book.
Really?
So we have a project now with Becky and Susan Pickett in the office, and she has a translator, because the stones are inscribed in Mandarin or Cantonese. And we're trying to get them inscribed, and then so we can properly identify where these people are and make sure that people who come visit, they have the stones there, but they might not know how to find somebody, and we don't know because
you can't read it.
Yeah, they haven't been translated.
Well, I have friends who speak Mandarin in this town, so maybe I can help you with that. Are there also any Japanese headstones there?
There are some, I believe, in there, but I couldn't. Not knowing the language for certain, I couldn't tell you, but I know there's some Japanese in other sections of the cemetery, but generally in a family with family.
Yeah. So that's interesting about the Chinese connection. So I'm wondering if that is a connection with Pendleton, with the the underground and all of that, how they had so many Chinese working there. So
it's exactly the same type of thing. And the madam from Pendleton, she's buried here.
Oh, she is?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. See?
So we have 2 madams buried here.
Wow, we learned a lot here today, Joanna.
So if you come on the tour, any of the tours, or pull out at any of our information at our kiosk, you can find these people too.
Wonderful segue. So tell me, if I am watching this and I want to go, wow, I want to find out more, where can I get some of these wonderful pamphlets that you have? Where's your kiosk located?
So the kiosk is located, you come in through the gates and turn right.
Here at the cemetery?
At the cemetery. We have the cemetery office, and then there's a kiosk right there. It has the information, it has cemetery maps, and we have a point of interest sign map now, so you can go find the green signs by pulling, or go to the office and ask for one. And then you can also go on the City of Walla Walla's Park and Recreation website and click the tab for Mountain View Cemetery. And then if you want to go on a tour, the next tour you can register, because we limit the number of participants.
Sure. And is this all year long? Or is it seasonal?
The tours are generally spring and fall. We just did a special one, was the Twilight Tour, and that was something brand new. and we had such a demand for it, we did 2 of them, and that was last month.
Last month. Okay, good. Well, you've done a nice job on these Walla Walla walking tour and points of interest with names, as we've shared. And then also this one I really liked. This one is symbols. So say, for example, you see on a gravestone, what's an anchor? Well, hope or at rest, an angel, the agent of God, also the guardian of the dead, the Bible, the book of life. So you have it all mapped out really nicely here. So in case someone doesn't quite know what something is, you have it described well.
Sure.
So thank
and we
you.
have
That's
2
very
different
nice.
symbol cards. So there's 2 with all the symbols are different. So if you got both of them, you'd pretty much cover the symbols in the cemetery. And then we have 3 walking tour card racks.
So what do you say to someone who might say, "Wow, Joanna, really a tour of a cemetery? Do I really want to go on that?" For many obvious reasons. What do you say to that person?
I say if you're interested in history, if you're interested in learning about this valley, come to the tour, because it's a cause for celebration, a cause for learning, and it's just you'd be unbelievable what you can learn. And also we have these live character portrayals we've added now, people presenting in costume.
The hats and the dresses,
Right,
and all
Becky's,
long and everything.
Becky's one of them. She does a terrific job, and that's just, people love it. And so this next tour on October 7th, we're adding more. It's going to be more portrayals than me talking at this one, but it just shows that this is a place of beauty. It's a place of remembrance. It's a cause for celebration. And when you come to these tours, you're helping to remember the people who are here.
Yes.
You're helping keep their memories alive, because many of them don't have anybody anymore. So
Correct.
you come and visit, and that's a cause for celebration.
Absolutely, and you said that just beautifully. So as we stand here at the Baker Circle, we're thankful for the Bakers and their contribution to Walla Walla and to so many people, and to you too today standing
thank
here.
you.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you.
So it's really good to be here with you, Andy, and to be talking about something really important that we might not always think about in our community, and that is the trees that we have here, some of them very old.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Coming from Parks and Rec, what do you know about trees?
Well, I've had to learn a lot in the recent years. I started out in Parks and Recreation, running a recreation program. So, I'd be in the office and I'd be talking trees, and I was like, oh, apparently there's a lot to know about trees, and people get attached and pretty excited about trees. Well, it just wasn't in my wheelhouse at that time, because I was busy running programs, So, but as I got an opportunity to move in the organization. I spent a couple of years managing park maintenance, so that involves trees.
Yes.
And so I had to learn more. And luckily, we have an arborist who's very versed in trees and certified arborist. So luckily, I'm not, I don't have to know everything about trees, but certainly want to support him in what he does, and he has to be the knowledgeable one about all the details. So that he's helped me immensely, and other people in our department, and just going to trainings too, and then learning. There's so much that trees provide for us that I had no idea about. So I've been director of the department for a little over 6 years. So in that role, I have to know more about trees and be able to answer questions and be able to tell people why we do what we do, and why trees are so important. So I've learned a lot for sure. So many great things that I'm not answering the question maybe right
yeah,
now.
You are. But I'm just thinking, you said, why they're so important to us. And so the first thing that's popping to my mind is, I'm just going through in my mind, so why are they so important? What are some of the things that make trees valuable?
Yes. So the first thing that comes to mind is obviously shade. They provide us shade. And I think most people can realize that even when you go to, say you go to Pioneer Park, and it's 100 degrees outside, but you go in the middle of the park where there's lots of big shade trees there, and it's around 90 degrees. So
isn't that amazing?
Yes, yeah, and it provides you that shade that makes the outdoors bearable, more bearable during the summertime when we can get triple digits.
Thinking
yes,
July here. Yes.
Yeah, and there's so much talk about climate change too, and our temperatures continue to increase. So that's why having the shade from the trees is so important. And then if you think about even on the streets, they also cool the streets as well, which we don't think about. So just when that sun's hitting the pavement, it makes the temperatures even even hotter.
Yeah.
Because it's reflecting off that hot, or that blacktop, if you will. So that's why the street trees are very important to the city as well. Which many of these trees were planted years and years ago, where there wasn't so much emphasis on trees and the importance of them now. But obviously, our forefathers knew something that maybe other folks didn't.
They either put them there for shade, or they just wanted to beautify the
yes.
environment in some way.
Absolutely, because most of the trees you see around our valley, they're planted by someone. They're not native. They didn't just grow on their own. So you can look around and you see the great urban forest that we have. It's just because of the people, roughly 100 years ago that had these ideas about trees and how they can transform a landscape as well. So
it is, because before that it was really even the native names for the area are all related to grasses.
Exactly.
And it was a grassland pretty much.
Right. And you just get outside of Walla and College Place, and you see you don't see any trees. So very few, and then when the ones that exist are near waterways. So
yes, true.
And one other important thing that the trees provide that most people don't think about is they capture stormwater. So when it rains, if you think about it, if you're standing under a tree, it'll be dry for a while under that tree, depending on how hard it's raining. But
sure.
Whereas outside the tree canopy, it's wet. So that's just one example. So they capture water, which they also absorb water too, groundwater. So then the cities don't have to build the infrastructure to direct all that water, back to Mill Creek or other waterways in the valley. So so then it saves the city's costs on construction of stormwater.
Yeah, you're right. I never thought of that
people
before.
Don't think about it. I had no idea about that either until recently. So the city actually uses funds that people pay to support the stormwater system, uses those funds to support trees and buy trees to trim trees because I think it was 2021 maybe, the city council officially adopted trees as part of the city's utility system, which it's kind of unique, to think about. Trees really they're part of the city's utility system, so they're important in the stormwater realm.
And these people who thought about it 100 years ago, we have them to thank. I don't know what they were thinking when they did it, whether they were thinking, oh yeah, 100 years from now, generations are going to really be happy for these trees. But we certainly are. And definitely when I think of some of the oldest trees in the area, and what comes to my mind is Pioneer Park.
Yes. Yep.
The old sycamores there, et cetera.
Yep.
How old are some of those?
Those trees are in the neighborhood of just under 120 years old. They're actually London plane trees. They're a breed of the sycamore. But they were planted in 1909, and they were a few years old at that point. So they're they're pushing 120 years old. So pretty. They're aged obviously, and they have some more life left in them. A lot of trees will outlive people, and at the same time they grow slowly. So we're like the trees we plant today. Some of us won't see the benefits from those trees, because we'll be gone. But the generations behind us will receive the benefits, and that's why we say, we're receiving the benefits from trees planted 100 years ago. So we have to plant trees so that people 100 years from now enjoy the same benefits. So
yes, I've got a couple of large maple trees in my own yard, and the shade thing really connects for me because. One of them drops a lot of stuff, so that's kind of
that is the drawback.
Interestingly, one doesn't drop as much, and the other one just really does. And so we've had some discussion about, is it worth having this tree? But one thing that we always come back to is, what would happen to that side of our house with our air conditioning and trying to keep cool in the summer if we didn't have that tree there? Yeah,
absolutely. And that's just obviously another benefit. You save on the energy costs, so you're not paying as much to run that air conditioner.
That's right.
If you have those trees. So yes, they take years and years to be able to reap the benefits, but so that's why we need to plant them now.
And we're talking about trees and the longevity. We're kind of talking a lot about perseverance right now as we're doing the hometown show here. And there's I don't know that a tree has the emotions to say, I have perseverance, but trees hang in there with us over a really long time.
They certainly do, and sometimes through a lot of adversity. Maybe they don't get watered for a certain period of time, or then they have to battle through some tough weather elements too sometimes,
Yes.
Which
Yes.
can impact their health. So yeah, absolutely, there's a lot of adversity that they go through.
And the old trees here in our community have been through a number of very severe windstorms as well.
Absolutely, yes. You can see some big ones come down sometimes.
Once in a while.
those storms.
Yeah,
Yep.
especially if the wind comes maybe from the opposite direction that
Yes.
it usually does.
That's absolutely a factor that they're not used to that wind.
Because they've built up for the west wind, haven't they?
Yes, absolutely. They grow to be prepared for that, and then when it comes from a different direction, that's when you see a lot of some come down.
Yeah,
So,
kind of a surprise.
yeah.
So just a valuable thing. I'm really glad that you were able to share with us some about why trees are important here. And we can, again, thank the people that came before for thinking ahead.
Yes.
That we have some of these really old trees.
It's pretty
in our
cool
community.
to just think about and what they must have been thinking, and you
Sure.
have them to thank for.
And when we do it, when we plant a tree now,
Yeah, right.
we're also giving something to future generations for sure.
Absolutely true.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks. Love
Thank
it.
you. Thanks for
Enjoyed
having me.
talking about it. My husband and I often think about what we are building for the next generation. Will those things last? Will they bless generations to come? In addition to institutions, infrastructures, and natural beauty, we leave future generations with the values they need, like perseverance, to carry them through the rough times. That determination will help them put things back together when things fall apart. It is also important to honor the stories of our forefathers and appreciate the legacies left for us. These streets we walk, these trees we love, the parks and homes, the values we share were once just ideas. Ideas that benefit all of us every day. I can't help but be grateful. Proverbs 13:22 says, "A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children." And we can see that at work here in this valley today. We are here today because good people left us an inheritance. We honor that by leaving a legacy for those who come next. As John Maxwell wrote, we all stand on the shoulders of the past generation. For that, I am grateful. See you next week on our next episode of Hometown.